Hello, friends. Welcome to another edition of Pamish Investment Academy. In the last few videos, we have been talking about biases that affect our investment decision making. Today, we'll be having the last word on it. The last word, yes, but one of the most important word. This particular bias, my friends, will more or less affect you throughout your investment journey. So it's very important that you know about it. If you are at least aware about it, you will be able to save yourself from its effects, or at least have be in a position to kind of reduce its effect. This particular bias that today we are going to talk about is loss aversion. So, loss aversion basically it's a cognitive bias that basically says that the pain of losing is psychologically twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining. Okay, so it means that uh, that the loss that you feel, आपको जो loss feel होता है from losing any amount of money or any object, valuable object, it can feel worse than gaining the same amount. Okay, so it refers basically to an individual's tendency to prefer avoiding losses to acquiring equivalent gains. Okay, कॉन्सेप्ट जो है कॉन्सेप्ट जो है वो थोड़ा सा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है बट आई ट्राई टू मेक इट एज सिंपल एज पॉसिबल बिकॉज दैट इज द होल ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ पामिश इन्वेस्टमेंट एकेडमी to try and make these complex things, uh, especially relating to cognitive biases. It's a little bit complicated, but to make it very simple for our new investors or people who are just starting on their investment journey. So let me kind of try to simplify this with an example, one or two examples. Suppose कि मैं आपको कहूँ कि एक बेट क्या आप लेने को तैयार है, कॉइन बेट ऑन द टॉस ऑफ अ फेयर कॉइन, अगर आप हारते हो तो आपको 1,000 रुपए देने पड़ेंगे. तो वो मिनिमम अमाउंट क्या होगा जिसके ऊपर आप ये बेट खेलने को तैयार होगे. मैं फिर से कहता हूं, कॉइन बेट, हेड्स या टेल्स वाली, जिसमें आप अगर हारोगे तो आप 1,000 रुपए दोगे. वो मिनिमम अमाउंट क्या होगा जिसके ऊपर आप राजी होगे ये बेट खेलने के लिए. 1,500 कि 1,000, कौन सी अमाउंट. अगर आपने 1,500 चूज किया तो यू आर डिस्प्लेइंग अ लॉस अवर्स बिहेवियर, राइट. अगर हम गेन्स और लॉसेस को अगर इक्वली वैल्यू करते तो you would you should have been willing to enter the bet with a 50% chance of winning or losing 1,000 rupees. We are attributing, that is, we should be attributing the same value to losing 1,000 that we would be to gaining 1,000, but you are not. You are instinctively taking the decision that you will play this game only if the payoff is 1,500. Why? Because you feel the need to be compensated with a higher potential gain to justify the loss. क्योंकि losses are more painful. Okay, the fear of losing something motivates us more than the prospect of gaining something of equal value. I hope you are getting this. Okay, let's take another very simple example. Okay, suppose you are called in by your boss, and your boss says that your salary per month will be increased by 10,000 rupees. Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, if you are told to measure your happiness or your, you know, kind of cheerfulness by this decision, 1 to 10, you will probably say 6, 7, 8, something like that. Now let's take the reverse kind of situation. You are called in by the boss and you have said that from next month your salary will be reduced by 10,000. And now if you are told to scale your disappointment from 1 to 10, you will probably say even 10 is not enough. It will be higher than 10. The amount is the same, but the pain of loss is much, much, much more. This, in very simple terms, is loss aversion. Okay. Now, how does it affect us as investors? Dosto, when we buy a stock, loss aversion, the bias of loss and aversion makes us sell off the winners and hold on to the losers, because if if we do not sell off the winners, we think that we might lose if the share price falls tomorrow of the stock which is winning. The stock which is losing, we hold on the hope that it will increase. On on both sides of the coin, we are displaying loss aversion. We are afraid of losses. So, friends, you have to understand this particular thing, that in order to avoid being affected by this cognitive bias of loss aversion, you have to look at the intrinsic value of each transaction that you do. In other words, you should be very well aware of the fundamentals of the investments of the stocks that you have invested in. Otherwise, this loss aversion cognitive bias will impede your investment returns. Correct. The other way to kind of avoid this cognitive bias from affecting your investment decisions is to broad frame the question of investment. सिंपल वर्ड्स में, आप इंडिविजुअल स्टॉक्स को मत देखिए, आप अपने पूरे पोर्टफोलियो को देखिए. And you have to understand that you will win sometime, you will lose sometime, but do your fundamental research well, understand the intrinsic value, and then look at the entire portfolio instead of picking out individual stocks. Individual stock level pe, if something is at a loss of say 18 to 20%, you will be very reluctant to sell it. Very, very reluctant and book the loss, because actual loss book ho jayega and you're loss averse to that. You don't want that. But if at the portfolio level you are making a gain of 13% or 14%, maybe you'll have a different decision. So these are some of the tactics or some of the ways to deal with this loss aversion, which all of us are affected, even me to this day. Like, it's very difficult, it's very, very difficult to win over loss aversion, right? So it's a little bit of a tricky and complicated bias, which I've tried my best to explain to you in a very simplistic manner. In order to win over it, always try to ascertain the intrinsic value of your stock. That is the, I know it's oversimplifying, but there is no other way around it. Well, I hope that you find this video useful, and this concludes our videos on cognitive biases. From the next video, we will be talking about the business models of individual stocks that we will pick up and choose. And the idea is not, as I'll make it very clear, the idea is not to recommend a buy or a sell or anything. The whole idea is that of learning, understanding the business models of these particular stocks that we will discuss and what are its strong points. If you are aware of a business model, if you are aware of its inherent strength, then only you will be able to take advantage that the stock market offers periodically. Okay, it offers this irregularly, but it is inevitable, as we saw in 2020, before that in 2016, before that in 2013, before that in 2008, right? So let's embark on this interesting journey from the next video and hope to see you soon. Goodbye and take care.